Italy sees its death toll rise by 475. Two congressmen test positive for COVID-19. And Governor Larry Hogan announces the first death in Maryland for the coronavirus. Today on the Diamond K Show. Welcome back. Episode 408 of the Diamond K Show. Also, this is season 13 of the program. Of course, Radio on Fire, we are reporting for the nation. I go by the name of Diamond K. I'm so happy to be back for season 13. Many of you know that we have been opening a new studio in Atlanta, Georgia. And that is going well. We're going to be launching that studio very soon. There's so much going on in the world. And COVID-19, the response for that, it's been very interesting. The president and the White House, the coronavirus task force, they hold press briefings. They spread information that often contradicts or directly goes against what the CDC says. Everyone's going for themselves. Everybody has their own response for this virus. State and local officials, they're doing one thing. The national response is something different. It's like no one's communicating, and we're getting a lot of conflicting information. Wherever you are in the nation, you are probably experiencing a city that is operating less than what you're used to. Many or most restaurants closed, schools out, restaurants only doing takeout. But while many of these strategies make sense, is there something more that the government is trying to do? In many places, the elections have been postponed. Here in Maryland, they've postponed in a little bit over a month until June. Some places postponing, some places going forward. It's very interesting when you look at the big picture. What is going on? Is this something to cover for something else? Many people on that conspiracy bandwagon. But many longtime listeners of the show know that I am not a conspiracy theorist. But sometimes if I sense something foul going on, that doesn't mean it's a conspiracy. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Just tune in. It's Diamond K Show, Radio on Fire Daily. I am here, season 13 of the program, and I am excited to be back. So, what are we talking about? Babies and preschoolers, they say, are at definitely risk for developing serious symptoms if they get infected with the coronavirus. The conflicting information I'm talking about, 1 minute they say that the risk is low, but yet if people infect elderly, then they say that that's going to be very dangerous. You mean that the risk would be high in that instance? No, they don't want to, quote unquote, scare Americans, so they lie to Americans. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is what they're doing. The White House has given an incredibly disjointed response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Governors, on the other hand, have been providing real leadership. Now, this could not come at a worse time for an incumbent president. The economy is something that's going to directly affect whether or not Trump gets reelected. Now, as we have heard, we don't know this for sure, but children and young people are vulnerable to the coronavirus. Okay? If anybody can pass it, whether you're asymptomatic or not symptomatic, you can still pass it if you have had contact with it. So that makes it dangerous. That means that the risk is high. How, on one hand, can we say schools are out going forward? We don't even know when schools are coming back in session. But then on the other hand, say that the risk is low. The risk is definitely high. If kids where young adults can affect older adults, the risk is high if these older adults are going to be more vulnerable. It's definitely. So as many things with this virus, they are changing by the minute. They're saying this, and this is coming from a technical lead at the World Health Organization. We do know that children tend to have more mild infection, have more mild disease, but we have seen at least one child die from this infection. But then they'll say that is all good for kids. It's not all good for kids. It's not all good for anybody. It's not all good for anybody. Continue with this. We can't say universally that it's mild in children. So it's important that we protect children as a vulnerable population. So when you start talking about vulnerable populations, when you start talking about things like that and languages like that, the threat level is high. In the United States, doctors say that they have seen milder symptoms like fever and a dry cough in children among those that have sought treatment. So I mean, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I mean, we want to be aware of what's happening, what is going on. But they still want to continue and say that the overall risk to children is low. So it's just, the message is confusing here. The risk for children, if you want to say that that's low, that's going to lead people to think that this is not that big of a deal if people are younger. This type of information has caused confusion around the country. On one hand, they say the risk is low, and then they get confused when these college kids start talking reckless about wanting to party and not even take the COVID-19 scare serious.
If I get corona, I get corona. At the end of the day, I'm not going to let it stop me from partying. We've been waiting for Miami spring break for a while. About 2 months we've had this trip planned.
The president, Donald Trump, was giving guidance that he refuses to follow himself. The White House is warning about the gathering of large groups. Now they're saying no more than 10 people, right? But they're saying this while they're at a press conference with more than 10 people in the room. They're not even following their own advice. They're close together. They're touching the same stuff. They warn about surface infections, yet they're touching podiums, microphones, coughing on one another, all kind of stuff. They're not following their own guidelines. So how can the American people really take serious what they say?
It's really messing up with my spring break. Because what is there to do here other than go to the bars or the beach, and they're closing all of it? It's really messing up. I think they're blowing it way out of proportion.
You listen to the Don McKay Show here on Radio on Fire. Stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back after this with more of the show. Welcome back to the Don McKay Show here on Radio on Fire. Of course, my name is Don McKay. Thank you for joining me. As fears of COVID-19 continue, we're getting reports from all over the country. Congresspeople have been affected and infected. Mario Diaz-Balart and Ben McAdams have become the first members of Congress to test positive for the coronavirus. This is a very grim indicator that this virus is spreading. Now, we have talked about it. We've talked about the fact that all departments are speaking differently. They're not speaking with one voice. State and local are operating one way. The White House response is something different, and the CDC in many instances is responding even differently than them. So over the weekend, Saturday evening to be specific, Congressman Diaz-Balart developed symptoms that included a fever and a headache. And he just recently, short while ago, was notified that he tested positive for COVID-19. And this is unfortunate. The Florida Republican said in a statement that he's feeling much better, but he urged the public to take the virus extremely serious. Many people are not taking the virus serious. Many people think it's a game. They think it's a joke. But we must continue to work together to emerge stronger as a country during these trying times. These are words from the congressman. So he may have contracted the disease. We don't know exactly how. They're probably not going to say, but I'm sure that they're not going to say it now, but it's going to come out. So he was the first lawmaker to announce this. Then later on, McAdams, a Utah Democrat, announced that he too had been diagnosed, and he said that today I learned that I was positive. He said in a statement via Twitter, and I'm still working for his constituents and pursuing efforts to get the resources that they need, and he continues to do his job from home. And he says that he is self-quarantining. So you have 2 members of Congress thus far. There's probably going to be more. So it's serious. It's very serious. You can see the streets are not, at least in here in Maryland, the streets are not what they used to be. Rush hour traffic is looking like a ghost town. Highways, while they are not completely empty, are much less traveled than normal times. There's definitely something going on. Governor Larry Hogan announced the first coronavirus related deaths, and PG County man in his 60s who had underlying conditions. So that read part of the governor's statement. He said that it is with profound sadness that I announced the first death in Maryland as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. I ask all Marylanders to join me in praying for his family and loved ones during this difficult time. The governor has been holding press conferences, and I've been critical of the governor over the years for many things, but I have a great deal of respect for him, and I definitely commend the way that he's handled this epidemic as it relates to Maryland. He has he's had his stuff together, and he's operated well. The exact opposite of that, the mayor of Baltimore City, Bernard Jack Young, declared a local state of emergency actually today. He was so late. It has been, President Trump has been late, and Jack Young is even further back than that. But he has done what is necessary and what should have been done a while ago, in addition to the state emergency that Governor Hogan did. You would think that that Jack Young would have done this, but many people may say, well, we didn't have any cases here in Baltimore City, so maybe that was the reason. But he did announce 3 new cases, and we did have cases, but maybe they were late coming with cases, and that was the reason. Not sure why exactly, but the mayor announced 3 new cases of COVID-19 in the city, bringing the total to 5 cases, and it's expected that number is going to rise because we get more testing, and you're going to see who has what. I don't understand why they want to say, on one hand, don't get tested if you don't have symptoms, because you can pass this virus by not being symptomatic. So why wouldn't you want people to get tested so you can know the people that don't have symptoms but are carrying the virus should be quarantined as well? We should be testing more people. The reason that they don't want more people tested, the president specifically, is because that's going to make this rise, and they're going to see the true impact of this and how many people are really affected by this and infected. So the city's health commissioner, very interesting, in a briefing today outside of City Hall, she asked other cabinet members to move further back from her, like, y'all too close. And then on the other hand, the president is letting people be all up on him. He don't even care. This is from the health commissioner here in Baltimore. She says, as your health commissioner, I have to ask to move this group to my left. Spread out. It's making me nervous. 6 feet. Okay. That's the message that she wants to promote, and I really I respect that. On one hand, she is exercising and following the precautions that she's putting forth to the constituents, where the president is doing the exact opposite. At a city board of estimates meeting, seats were blocked off and people were kept apart from each other, different from the usual seats where they're a bunch closer together. And for those people that are wondering about Jack Young's state of emergency for Baltimore, what it's going to do is it's going to allow the city to make some procurements without having to go through the normal procedure. So it's going to be access money quicker without having to get these approvals. That includes securing hotel rooms to house homeless who may be sick but don't need to be hospitalized, but understand it's going to include many more than that. They're also prepared to get a court order to isolate confirmed coronavirus patients who violate quarantine restrictions. Some people just don't take it serious. Some people feel like they don't have to do what is the right thing, considering if you are someone who has been infected. So I'm glad that they're doing that, amongst other things. You listen to the Diamond K Show here on Radio on Fire. Of course, your man Diamond K holding it down. Let's take a quick break. Let's come back with more of the program after this.
Remix.
Hey. Hey. Hey.
Remix. EA.
Everybody say.
One time.
Welcome back to the Diamond K Show here on Radio on Fire. Your man Diamond K in here at the Diamond K Show, at Radio on Fire, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Hit me up. All right. So Baltimore City's state's attorney, Marilyn Mosby, said today that she is urging the governor, Larry Hogan, to close the state courthouse and develop guidelines to depopulate state prisons and jails. I'm sure that's not something that he's in a rush to do, but she did warn in a letter that overcrowding could risk an outbreak of COVID-19 behind bars. Separately, she instructed prosecutors to drop charges for certain non-violent crimes. So we saw information similar to this in it was rumored in Philly, but Mosby is definitely saying that individuals, she wants immediate dismissal of any charges against individuals charged with drug possession, paraphernalia possession, prostitution, trespassing, minor traffic offenses, attempted drug distribution, open container, rogue and vagabond, and public urination. So all of these people, if you can do this now, maybe we should do this going forward. You talk about overcrowding the prisons because of the COVID-19. How about we just don't overcrowd the prisons at all? Mosby said that the offenses pose no threat to public safety and would likely result in pretrial release. Why don't you keep that same energy when this stuff is over with? Now, Mosby also already had a policy of dismissing all marijuana possession cases. So in Baltimore, Mosby ordered her prosecutors to immediately dismiss those charges. Like I said, very interesting. Like I said, one thing, there's always silver linings to things, and I think that this is one of them. I think that they should keep this same energy going forward when this finally subsides. I would like to see that. I definitely would like to see that. So, one thing that has been revealed, and it is unfortunate. Former Democratic candidate for Florida, Governor Andrew Gillum, announced that he is going into rehab. So he's going into rehab. This is just a few days after he was found in a Miami Beach hotel room, possibly under the influence. So this is an attempt to save his reputation that has been severely diminished. Police say that they found Gilliam in this hotel room. Here's where it gets real fuzzy. So they found him in this hotel room. Someone has an overdose. There's people throwing up, drunk. There's drugs on the floor, and all this kind of stuff. And he claims, though, that this is a wake-up call for him, and he's been since the race for governorship, since that ended, he fell into a depression, and that led him to alcohol abuse. That's what he said. It is so disturbing that this gentleman came within 40 K votes of the governorship. This would have been a complete embarrassment, and I guess he's going to say that had he became governor, then he would not have become addicted to what they're saying is alcohol. I'm not sure. It could be more serious than that. But, of course, they're going to try to rehabilitate things, and America loves a comeback story, and maybe he can come back. I'm not sure. I would like to see him get his life together. I would like to see him get his family and stuff, all of that together. But as far as him being in political office, I don't know. I mean, crazier things have happened. Marion Barry was elected after smoking crack, so anything's possible. In addition, I didn't want to end on a complete bad note, but this could be bad for some people, depending on depending on where you sit. I just don't want to see, when football season comes around, I don't want to see these really loud Patriot fans now all of a sudden becoming Tampa Bay fans all of a sudden. So Tom Brady, as you know, going to Tampa Bay, requesting a payment of $30 million or so for each of the next 2 years. Wow. So he did not make any big crazy requests that have been suggested elsewhere, including items like personnel authority and control over development and implementation of the offense. He's going to go and be a team player. So ultimately, Brady chose to go to Tampa Bay for a variety of reasons. Clearly, it was a business move, and I'm definitely, I respect what he did, and I respect what he's going to do. Of course, many people may think that this is going to turn out to be the Washington Wizards. I don't know. He may have more left in his tank. So let's look at this. State income taxes for California, because that was an option to go to the Chargers. California, 13.3%. In Florida, those state income taxes are 0. Now, playing in Tampa keeps Brady closer to his 12-year-old son, who lives in New York with his mom, Bridget Moynihan. And Tampa also puts the Brady family closer to some of the vacation spots that they like: Miami, Costa Rica, South America. But I mean, he got big money. He can fly across the country if that's what needed to happen. The other question is Tampa Bay just a quarterback away from a quality run? And are they in better position than the Chargers? Given that the Chiefs currently dominate the AFC West, Tampa Bay will have their hands full with the Saints. But relatively speaking, it might be easier for the Bucks to win their divisional with Brady than it would be for the Chargers to win theirs with Brady. We will see. Another question, of course, people want to know is, how successful can the Patriots be without Tom Brady? My guess is they're going to still be successful, whether or not Brady is there. I think that they are going to continue to dominate and continue to be successful. Of course, your man Diamond K in here. You can check me out daily, radioonfire.com, to get any show archives, exclusive content. Become a member today, radioonfire.com/join. This is Radio on Fire. We are reporting for the nation. Now, original reporting, trusted news with content and perspective that you will not find anywhere else. radioonfire.com, @radioonfire, #radioonfire. Like and subscribe for new videos and new shows every day. Your man Diamond K, I will be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys tomorrow.